What is up, guys? It's your boy KP Square here, back with my second video. First of all, I want to give a major shout out to all of the new subscribers that I have, all of those that watched my first video, and all of those awesome comments. Don't worry, that horrible music with that terrible siren is never coming back again. I hated it just as much as you. Moving on, we're here with the brand new Samsung Galaxy S8 and the S8 Plus. Now, Best Buy actually sent these to me a little bit early, so shout out to Best Buy. And so I've had a little time with them so far, and I can say that I've really been enjoying them. Of course, with all of this brand new, beautiful glass that they're wrapped in, things are a little bit slippery, so I went ahead and I wrapped them in Spigen cases, Guardians of the Galaxy. And no, this video is not being sponsored by Spigen. Now, there is no shortage of Samsung Galaxy S8 videos out there, but just in case you don't already know, I'm going to give you just a quick rundown of some of the specs that these phones include. Now, the new S8 is rocking a beautiful new design that comes from its predecessor, the S7 Edge. But it actually has a new screen ratio, and man, is it beautiful. In fact, the S8 is rocking a 5.8-inch curved display, 6.2 inches on the S8 Plus, and both of these support HDR video, even though content for mobile phones in HDR is pretty scarce right now. So what does that mean in basic terms? It simply means that this screen looks amazing. And I mean, it really looks pretty doggone amazing. The way that the edges curve down and off the sides of the phone really give you that immersive feel that Samsung has been advertising. And I mean, they're not lying. It really feels pretty immersive. You almost feel like you're sinking into that deep, rich Super AMOLED screen. Now, they accomplish this by removing much of the bezels that we normally see on most smartphones. Those bezels, those edges around the phone. And so it actually gives you a much better feel in the hand, as well as allowing us to get that much larger screen to phone aspect ratio. Of course, since we now don't have those huge bezels anymore, we no longer have that standard Samsung home button at the bottom. In fact, they've actually opted to put it on the screen, and so you actually have to hold the button or double tap the button, whichever option you choose, at the bottom of the screen on that little home button, and the screen will pop open. It's kind of like how Apple did with the new iPhone 7, in that you actually push on a piece of glass rather than a physical button. And so when you push down on it, you get a nice little vibration. And I can't say that it's as good as on the iPhones, where it feels much more isolated, but I mean, it gets the job done. Now, since that home button is no longer at the bottom of the screen, the fingerprint scanner has actually moved to the back of the phone, which really wouldn't be that big of a deal. But let's be honest, having the fingerprint scanner right here next to the camera, not a good idea. Think about how many times you're going to go to reach to hit that unlock button and you hit that camera. Yeah, fingerprints. And that's what a lot of people have actually been complaining about. Now, Samsung did go ahead and update the camera software to include a notice that reminds you to clean off your camera lens, which is pretty handy. It can definitely remind you so that your lens won't be so blurry, but at the same time, it would have been nice if the fingerprint scanner was somewhere down toward the middle, but as we understand it, they couldn't do that because the battery is like right in here. Now, on the back, of course, next to that fingerprint scanner, as I mentioned, is that camera, and the camera has not changed much at all from the S7s. In fact, it's the same specs, which is a little bit disappointing, but at the same time, not too disappointing, because let's be honest, this camera is pretty good. 4K video is also really crisp and clean on this camera, and overall, I really like it. This camera is really sharp, really crisp. The image stabilization is pretty good. It's not the best. I think that the iPhones is better, but it's still pretty good, and I think it will definitely get the job done. Now, on the sides of the phone, you have the standard volume key, you have your power button and unlock button, but now you also have a new button. You have what's called the Bixby button. Now, Bixby is Samsung's version of Apple's Siri and Google Now. And at first, it seems a little bit gimmicky. I mean, do you really need something else in addition to Google Now? But it seems that Google is actually going to integrate with Bixby, which I think is going to be a really good idea. So that means that you can actually get localized information, content that might be catered more toward you right within the Bixby app. And that's pretty good, considering that Samsung invested in an entire button on the phone just for Bixby. Now, somebody had actually came out with an app that allowed us to remap the Bixby button so that it will open up something different, maybe like your camera or maybe Google Now. But then Samsung came out with a firmware update right before the phone was launched, blocking us from being able to do that. And somebody else found a way around that as well, which I think is a pretty good move considering that you're paying so much money for a flagship phone, particularly an Android. One of those things that power users want to be able to do is actually control what their phone does. That's one of the main points of Android, being able to customize your phone. So aside from that, I think that Bixby shows a little bit of promise. Right now, you actually cannot use the voice controls. Samsung seems to still be working on that. So that's a little bit disappointing, but I would like to see how it works when that comes out. Right now, one cool feature is being able to literally take a picture of something, and using Bixby Vision, it can actually look up whatever that object is that you took a picture of. It's still a little wonky right now, but I have a feeling that over the next few months, it will actually get a lot better. Looking at the bottom, you have the speaker, which is decent. I can't say that it's the best speaker that they have on one of their phones, but it gets the job done. It gets pretty loud. Next to that, you have a USB-C fast charging port, which is becoming pretty standard now. And then next to that is the coveted headphone jack. Speaking of the headphone jack, Samsung has included in the box with their phone a pair of AKG headphones. If you don't already know, AKG was owned by Harman Kardon, which was bought out by Samsung. So Harman Kardon and AKG are actually really high quality audio brands, and so it's kind of nice to have that in there. Samsung is saying that these earbuds are worth about $100, and I can say that they sound pretty good. It's much better than getting those plastic white earbuds that normally come in the box that are pretty cheap. Like I said, they're pretty good headphones, and to have them right in the box is a good move on Samsung's part. Now, if you pre-ordered your S8 or your S8 Plus, you probably saw that you would get a free pair of VRs, and that is pretty cool. But if you spend an extra $100, then you can also get a pair of wireless AKG headphones and a 256 megabyte card. Now, I went ahead with that option. I'm still waiting on it to come in, but once it comes in, I'm gonna go ahead and do a video on that as well so that we can see just how great this immersive package really is. And speaking of those AKG Bluetooth headphones that come with the immersive pack, if you've already gotten it or when you get it, you might notice an extra option in the Bluetooth menu. And that option allows you to connect 2 different headphones at the same time. Now, we've been able to connect multiple Bluetooth devices to our phones for some time now, but this new feature is a part of Bluetooth 5.0, and the S8 and the S8 Plus are the first phones to feature Bluetooth 5.0. And with this new 5.0, what we get is the ability to actually play audio to 2 different audio receivers at the same time. So if I'm listening to something on my phone and I want my wife to hear it on her Bluetooth headset as well, we can actually connect them at the same time. She can control her own volume and I can have my own. I think that's pretty cool. In addition to that, you also get greater range, and you also get faster data transfer. And you also get faster data transfer speeds, which I think is really awesome. Bluetooth has not been the fastest way to transfer things, so it's pretty cool seeing it actually speed up some now. Now, one thing that I do want to mention is that this is a cell phone. Sometimes we get so caught up in all of these cool features that we forget that this thing was really made for calling and text messaging. I can say that after using it here in my home, the cell phone reception on this thing is actually better than what it was on my Note 7. Call quality is nice and clear, speakerphone is nice and loud, and video calling is awesome as well. Now, of course, when you get a brand new phone, you go through that whole honeymoon phase and everything is just honky-dory. So I'm going to come back in a few more weeks after I test out the battery. I'm going to test out the cell phone reception, test out the camera, test out the screen, especially since some people have said that their phone is metered more toward red. So we want to kind of check that out, and I want to see if mine actually changes or anything like that. But I'm really going to test this phone out and put it through some different paces and just see how it really stands up compared to its competition, and even to its predecessors. You're also going to want to stay tuned in as I test out the Samsung Deck Station and see how that performs as well. Anyway guys, I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Smash that like button if you like the video, subscribe if you want to see more, and comment on what you might want to see more of on this phone or any other devices that may be coming out as well. As always, you have a good one. Be blessed. Peace. I'm done. I'm not doing it no more.